Hey everyone, Ocean here. Welcome back to my channel, Ocean Waves Tarot. Happy to have you here and happy to be here. In today's pick a card, we are going to be digging into messages that Spirit has for you, things that are important for you to know during this time of your life, as well as things that you may need to hear. So this is a timeless reading. You don't have to be watching this video right when it was uploaded in order for these messages to be relevant. As long as you feel drawn to a pile here, or multiple piles here, then there may be a message or messages for you in this reading. And one last thing before we get to the piles, this is a collective reading, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Tarot will never bind you to any kind of fate, like horrible fate, that you do not want. Energy is fluid, our futures can always be changed. We have our best judgment, our free will, and our intuition. And in the end, going with your gut and doing what feels right to you is going to be miles more important than what some random reader on YouTube has to say in your cards. Okay. Alright, now with that out of the way, let me introduce these piles to you. I have collected a bunch of cute little trinkets for our pick-a-pile today that I will show you now. So for pile 1, we have this cute ceramic cat. It's very serene, very sleepy looking. It's actually a chopstick holder. And the spots on its back are actually shaped like hearts, which is really cute. For pile 2, we have this cute sunflower pot that I got at the beach at a random gift shop just along the boardwalk. It was like one of those shops with a lot of local artisan crafts in it, like local glass blower works and stuff. I love sunflowers. And for pile 3, we have this little Sumiko Gurashi character. I think it's supposed to be a little pin cushion for sewing. And there's a keychain attached to it, but I took that off. And for pile 4, we have this little ceramic doggy. At least I think it's ceramic. It might be glass, but either way, it's adorable as heck. And I found this one at a local antique shop, just like hiding out in a corner. Alright, and those are our 4 piles for today. So I am going to give you a little bit of time to meditate on these piles and see which one you feel the most drawn to. Which one or ones. Again, totally fine to pick multiple. But yeah, once you've chosen your pile, I've got all the timestamps below, both in the description and in the comments section. So just click on the pile that you want and I'll see you at your reading. Hi Pile 1, welcome to your reading. This is for everybody who chose our sweet little ceramic kitty cat. And I got this in Japan from this really sweet little indie ceramics artist. She was like really close to a shrine that we visited, and her creations are just so cute. She's also the one who made this little ring dish, as well as these 2 little friends we have over here. And so yeah, this is meant to be a chopstick holder, but I think I've just sort of kept it around as decoration because it's just really cute. And whenever I look at it and it's like serene face, I get a sense of calm, like everything's gonna be okay. And so I get a good feeling from this cat, and I feel like in today's reading, I feel like this is a good energy to start off a reading with. So I have a couple of cards that I've pre-shuffled here that we're gonna look at. These tarot cards are going to be telling me about the situation surrounding you and kind of what's going on. And this Dragon Oracle is representing your energy right now, your current mindset, or what position you may feel like you're in. And so yeah, for your Dragon Oracle, we have Noboriru. And for your tarot cards, we have the Hermit upright, the Wheel of Fortune upright, and the King of Cups in reverse. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is this dragon spirit. I think Nobori means rising, and so we see this dragon that is ascending towards what looks kind of like a red sun, and this could mean many things. So red is the root chakra, and it's like about working with our sense of safety. It can sometimes mean working with trauma or working through things that we have like internalized very deeply. According to the booklet for this oracle, this can also be about having kind of like a heart-to-heart with yourself, or meeting your own heart where it's at currently. And I think it's also worth noting that this dragon spirit is holding a little red ball. So it's as if you're incorporating new things and new things that you've learned into who you already were as a person. And yeah, this card represents self-love. It represents knowing thyself, or getting to know yourself, as well as giving yourself love, or giving yourself very pure kind of tenderness and care. So yeah, you can definitely think of this red sun here as representing some part of yourself that you are rising to meet. And in this sense, I think my pile ones are elevating, are transcending, are evolving, are growing, whichever of those words resonates with you personally. And I think this idea of learning to give love and learning to love yourself is also backed by this hermit, which is all about like deep reflection and contemplation and taking time to yourself to get your stuff figured out and get all of your ducks in a row, not only practically but emotionally. So some of you may be in therapy, or some of you may have recently happened upon some realizations that you felt like gave you a bit of a paradigm shift in the way that you view the world, or the way that you view your relationships, or your relationship with yourself. And that those realizations have carried you into what may feel like a new cycle of your life, or like a new chapter of your life beginning. The Wheel of Fortune pops up in scenarios where it's kind of like this is meant to happen, or that you're on the right path, or that like no matter what you do, this is something that would have happened. This personal journey of the soul. And this King of Cups in reverse here, I think, signifies that through the work that you are doing on yourself, you are well on your way to becoming a King of Cups. That this is going to be, that this is the kind of energy that you are evolving into. The King of Cups is considered the most evolved of the court cards. He's kind of like the pinnacle. Antiquated gender roles aside, it's a very good space to be in. I also just heard the word acceptance, so maybe some sort of acceptance of your circumstances, or acceptance of something that has transpired or happened to you recently or in the past has like brought a lot of these realizations to the surface, and that you're getting closer and closer to being in this king energy, or that you're maturing in a very beautiful way. And it's funny to me that this dragon is rising, because it's like, in a way, you have risen to the challenge and you have faced these challenges, but in a different way. It was because you dug deep. And when I think of like digging, you know, we think of going underground, of going to the root. So, you know, you can also think of this dragon descending into the depths and exploring what is there. And so yeah, there is a lot of imagery of ascension and descension in this read. Move this back. It sounds like none of this has been easy for you. Healing is almost always difficult, but that you have risen to the challenge with such poise and grace and humility, and Spirit has a lot of praise for you for that. I think looking at this cat from earlier, that this sense of peace may be something that you are trying to embody more in your day-to-day. Some of you may be cultivating a meditative practice. There's just something about the way this cat rests so contentedly that I think a lot of my pile ones are learning to be more content with life as it is, and learning to appreciate the little things, learning to stop and smell the roses. I'm also getting the impression that you have broken out of a prison of sorts, or that you have recently made some sort of breakthrough or broke out of a mental prison. And I'll show you why. It's because this Hermit card is pretty unique. As you can see, there are lots of little black lines running down it, and to me those kind of look like the bars of a prison. And I will show you in greater detail. I put a sticky note here because nudity, and I don't want to get banned. But yes, this is our Hermit card. And this is our Wheel of Fortune. And the way that I interpret this is almost like these, what were once bars, iron bars that kept you caged inside, have now turned into, if you can see these little streamers that this acrobat is like waving around and dancing through. Ariana's Positions, the song just started playing in my head as well. I think it's because this acrobat is, it looks like they're jumping through this hoop. And isn't there like a line in that song like jumping through hoops? And there may be other lyrics in that song that speak to you, but it's as if you have learned to be a lot more emotionally flexible to be able to handle whatever comes your way. Because the King of Cups is sort of known as a, you know, not only a symbol of emotional maturity, but also a representation of steadiness in stormy waters. So it's like you're kind of learning to be your own rock or your own safe space when things don't always go as planned. And that's kind of like how life is, right? We get tangled up in unexpected things. And I'm also noticing this hilarious that there are ducks in this card, and getting Donald vibes, honestly, with this, all this blue. I'll show you this too. But that in this process of growth that you're also learning to try not to take things too seriously, or that you may cope with humor. Yeah, I get that my pile ones are very funny. When they're not like getting down to business and super serious, they can also be very easygoing and carefree and really funny. There's just something about that duck. There's even a little, what looks like a leopard or a jaguar that's just kind of plopped down here, which is actually kind of similar to this cat. I'm sorry, let me show you again. This being plopped down, this jaguar kind of reminds me of this little ceramic cat object that you guys chose for this reading. You know, they're both just kind of vibing, chilling. Some of you may have a cat or cats, or have had cats in the past before, in which case they say hello. And yeah, I'm called to notice how this king is surrounded by so many animals. I think says a lot about that. Like, my pile ones may work with a lot of animals, whether it's spiritually or in the 3D, like you may volunteer at an animal shelter or have been just involved with something that has to do with interacting or taking care of animals. I also just heard horse, so that could be relevant for you in some way. But yeah, something about animals may be very personally meaningful to you. And another thing, backpedaling to that prison bar analogy that I was talking about, another thing that I want to notice here is that this acrobat's legs are actually like, their feet that were supposed to be over here but has, like, you know, turned into these streamers, have reappeared like up here. So I don't know if I need to put a warning for that, for disembodied feet. But that following the prison bar analogy, it's like you have begun to be able to move forward again. You know, our legs literally like walking forward, moving forward. I could have just used my fingers and not the rose quartz point, but maybe, I mean, rose quartz is also all about healing. So I think that seems to be a huge theme of pile one, is healing, of exploration, of evolution. And yeah, that you guys are just wheels turning, gears turning, thoughts thinking. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna turn on a light real quick. And so, yeah, I get a very pure vibe from pile one, which also makes sense because in magic, or in candle magic, white is said to be the color of purification, and it's kind of like a blank slate on which new things can be written, new stories, new perspectives, new things that you are incorporating into yourself. It's almost as if like having a blank slate allows you to express yourself in the way that you want without like outside bias or like other people already coloring your perceptions in a way. Maybe this could be speaking to you guys, like that clearing the board, starting anew, starting fresh has been a very helpful part of your personal growth. So for some of you, you may have moved into a new city or a new environment recently. For others, you may have literally done a little bit more exploring lately, traveling, flooding yourself with new information and new experiences. You could have made new friends or started hanging out with some new friends recently who have shifted your standards for having friends, because the more people you meet, it's like you have more of a basis to compare the other relationships that you've had in your life, and sometimes having it really good will help us to realize just how bad it was, or give us some sort of metric to compare our past experiences to. And I think that you've been very brave in being willing to challenge yourself and challenge your beliefs, because it's just really scary. And you know, bravery is not the absence of fear, it is action in spite of fear. So I hope you guys are really proud of yourselves. I do sense that my pile ones have come very far, and that there is an awareness of the work that you're putting in, and Spirit wants you to know that they also see how hard you are working, and that you are seen, and that your work is not for nothing. And you already know that, but I'm just putting that out as a reminder. Okay, so I think I will move on to getting oracles and a couple more tarot cards, just to see what other messages come up for you, or any advice that your guides may have or Spirit may have for your situation. But the overall message here seems to be keep up the good work. You know, you're doing well. You're doing it. You're doing it. If you are at all questioning whether or not you're making progress, the answer is yes, yes, solid yes. More advice or messages for pile 1. Oh, okay. Okay, what else do we have here? We have adapt. Yes. I'm actually going to draw one more, I think. Kind of like my pile ones are winning a war with themselves. Winning a war against your inner demons. Yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. And oftentimes those inner demons aren't even like ours, right? They're ours to deal with, but they weren't necessarily, it's not like it's not always our faults that they're there to begin with. Get one more card. Oop. One more card, please. There we go. Spring. Yeah, new beginnings. I also just heard spring cleaning, so this could be like a decluttering, a literal decluttering of your space if some of you have moved recently, or it could be decluttering your mind. And so did I mention meditation earlier? So that may have to do with making space in your mind, you know, decluttering and allowing for things to sprout and bloom, and all of these seeds of like self-love to come up out of the ground, which is such a beautiful image. Let me just rearrange these real quick. Get some tarot cards for any other messages that Spirit may have for my pile ones. I wonder if this will, yeah, this may turn out to be kind of a more of a hype read than a, you know, here's advice on like how you should proceed kind of read. So we have 6 of Cups in reverse. So yeah, For those of you who are in therapy, or you might not, but that you're doing like a lot of shadow work, I definitely see that with those prison bars that were released, that this whatever beliefs or self-limiting beliefs that you released may have been instilled in you from your childhood, or that there's this recognition of like where those coping mechanisms came from, or where those habits that you wanted to get rid of came from. Definitely a lot of inner child healing happening, and something about the innocence of this rabbit. Oh yeah, these are both colored like snow, and there's this sort of energy of purity here. Like this rabbit could also represent your child self, and like reconnecting to that kind of innocence and playfulness and fun. Ace of Wands. And also the fact that if you look at this crystal, rock, agate here, that it has like white bands mixed with darker, sort of muddier bands. I wonder if there's kind of like a mixing pot analogy here, where like as we grow and we take in information, and I'm sorry if this is distracting, but I just imagine like mixing all of your memories and experiences and thoughts into a big cauldron that is your brain. And the word adapt is like learning to incorporate what you learn. I think I used that word earlier, but incorporating what you learn or have internalized in your childhood while continuing to not be jaded. Or there's this like refusal to let your experiences embitter your heart and close you off to living a happy, fulfilling life. And this Ace of Wands here is always wonderful to see if you guys have recently discovered a new passion or have a passion project. This is a great sign to get. It's a very promising project to pursue. Another way to interpret this would be that, after you have released these like bars, or that you are in the process of, trying to jump through these hoops, jump through the now like wiggly waggly prison bars that used to hold you back, and that you're moving forward, that's opening up new opportunities of creativity for you. Ace of Wands can sometimes also, I think, refer to friends with benefits kind of situations. If you're a minor, just completely ignore that. I didn't say anything. Let me continue drawing some more cards. Oh yeah, we have the Emperor in reverse. What are these other cards? Nine of Cups in reverse, Seven of Cups, and the Chariot. Okay, so usually I would put these back, but I think these are yours, so I'm gonna keep them out. I get a very heavy energy from this Emperor card. So yeah, going along with the Six of Cups in reverse, which can sometimes refer to childhood trauma, or just pain from the past, particularly with regards to the way that we were raised. Some of you may have had a very badly behaved parent, to put it euphemistically, and that you have healed from abuse, you have healed from mistreatment or trauma. But there's another exciting message here for you, that going back to this Ace of Wands is like, having the doors, like not opening doors even. It's almost like you took those prison bars, like the freaking Hulk, and you pulled them apart, yanked them apart by sheer force of will. And now that you've, stepped out of that prison, or are like, continuing to jump through hoops. I'm sorry if I'm like repeating myself, but that has opened you up to all sorts of new creative opportunities that are going to lead to victory. The Chariot is about like winner, chicken dinner, like that you have a really bright future ahead of you, and you have so much to look forward to. In fact, you have so many options now with this Seven of Cups, that like some of you may be a little bit like, oh, what do I do? Now that I'm here, now that I am free, or that I have a taste of freedom, it's like there are so many possibilities before me that I'm not really sure what I want or what I want to do. And with this Nine of Cups here, you see how this bun is just looking real happy, looking real content, happy, and almost proud of all of the cups that it has collected. It's like he's showing off a collection of cups, and cups are spiritual, cups are emotional and intuitive. I think the message here is that Pile 1, keep doing what you're doing. You are well on your way to cultivating abundance for yourself. And the Nine of Cups, when it's upright, can sometimes refer to like dreams come true or wishes granted, wishes fulfilled, as well as abundance. It can sometimes refer to overeating in reverse or like overindulgence, but hey, no judgment here. We all deserve to treat ourselves sometimes, and I think that goes along with what Spirit is trying to say here of, yeah, don't be afraid to treat yourself and pat yourself on the back, and continue nourishing yourself and rewarding yourself for all of this hard work that you've done. So like if you guys are kind of on the fence about ordering takeout this weekend or like treating yourself to a nice meal, obviously like if you can afford it, please do. Or, you know, if you can afford it, take a day off. If you can afford it, buy that cute little thing that you were looking at online that you sort of really want but you don't quite need. Like, just do one thing really nice for yourself this week, Pile 1, because you deserve it. There is so much excitement in these cards. And I also just heard that now, you know, like now that the bars have been cleared or are being cleared, that it's like you're letting yourself dream again, or you're letting yourself fantasize about what a future of success could look like, and you're able, it's like you're being given more freedom to think about the things that you do want. It's like you're considering things that other people want or other people have gotten a lot of happiness out of, and wondering if those are a part of you, if you want them as well. Like, do you want them because you want them, or do you want them because other people want them? And there's this kind of exploration happening here of like, you know, who am I really and what do I want? Maybe growing up it wasn't about what you wanted, or it wasn't what, maybe what you wanted was never treated as like worthy of consideration or worthy of fulfilling. Like maybe your needs were suppressed in favor of like trying to please someone else's needs, or trying to fill the mold of like what someone else wanted for you. And so this is so beautiful, Pile 1. I feel like you guys have done so much healing and are continuing to heal, and I am really excited for you to continue getting to know yourself and what you truly want in life. And Spirit is saying to also, you know, take your time with that it's less about like reaching a destination of knowing everything about yourself, and that is always like a continuous journey. It's really important to enjoy the ride and to like relishing that you have options. And I was just shown a display case full of jewelry, so I wonder, I mean, this could be like shopping for rings or maybe an engagement ring, I'm not sure, but there's like all sorts of like precious gems and jewelry. Maybe that's something that my Pile 1s are into, is jewelry. But it's like you're allowed to look at this display case now and look at the beauty before you. It doesn't have to be jewelry. It's a metaphorical display case of like treasures basically, and deciding which one you want and which one you don't want. If some of you, this is a very specific message, but if some of you, like if your guardians or if someone that you were with was like highly controlling about like how they wanted you to look, or how you should dress, or you know how much makeup you wear if you wear makeup, or just very like possessive and like just really inappropriately controlling about, you know, your decisions about how you look, that's another message that's coming through. You know, you can wear whatever the hell you want. You can wear makeup, or you don't have to wear makeup, but what's important is that you're wearing it for you. And I think the same message could be applied to that image of like jewelry that I was shown. Maybe you weren't allowed to have jewelry for some reason, so that could be a very specific message coming through as well. But yeah, I think I will finish up my messages for Pile 1 by saying that it looks to me like you guys are a seed that has finally started growing, or has finally, like, you know, it's like someone put concrete over you so you could never, you know, penetrate the surface of the soil, but someone removed that concrete for you, and now you can grow and flourish. And part of that is going to be finding out, you know, like cultivating a personal style, or all sorts of self-discoveries about the things that you love and the things that are important to you and that you desire, and that someday you are going to be in this Nine of Cups energy, if you aren't already well on your way. What a wholesome pile, and I wish you guys all the best in your self-discovery. One thing that I can share was like growing up, I had a parent who was pretty strict about like what hairstyles I was allowed to wear or not allowed to wear, or like they would always give me a lot of harsh criticism where I was just like a teenager, messing around. But they would just say the nastiest things about just like a teenager putting her hair up in a ponytail or like trying to clip her own bangs, which admittedly turned out horrible because I was a teen and that stuff happens. But once I was able to cut that parent out of my life, it's been like years now, and I have had so much fun just like messing with my hair and doing what I want with it. Like I was never allowed to dye my hair unconventional colors or to just try out certain styles. But it's like now I can, and I remember it was actually on the same Japan trip where I got this cute little kitty cat, where I also went to this Japanese salon and like had my hair dyed for the first time. It was like a dark purple, and I remember getting so emotional. I can't remember when I started crying, but it like really warms my heart to be able to do something for myself, even if it might sound silly to, like, oh, big deal, yeah, you dyed your hair, but like to me it was very personally meaningful because it was like a symbol of my freedom and being able to do whatever the heck I wanted, even if it didn't look good, being able to do what I wanted with my body or my appearance. And it just brought me so much pure, unfiltered joy, and I wasn't even expecting that to happen. I didn't know it would make me so emotional, but it's like, wow, like I have the power to do this for myself now. And I hope that many of my pile ones are also on that same path of like recognizing how much power you have over yourself. It doesn't have to be related to the way that you look, but I do think that if it is, please do something nice for yourself this week or this month if you can afford it, just because you can. Because you're worth it, and you're worth that self-love, and I think that you're learning to step into that space as well. Reading these cards gives me a great sense of pride, and I really am wishing you guys the best, pile one. I think I'm going to end your reading here. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope this reading was helpful or illuminating in some way. If it resonated with you, I would love to hear how down below in the comments. If you enjoyed it, I would love it if you could leave a like. That helps out my tiny channel a lot. Hopefully I'll see you again for another reading, but until then, stay safe and take care and have fun. Bye! Hi Pile 2! Welcome to your reading. This is for everybody who chose our cute little sunflower pot. I got this at the beach a couple of years ago before, the panty hit. It was at one of those gift shops with a lot of artisan crafts. I'm not sure if this one was handmade or not. It's kind of hard to tell because like these flowers are made of plastic. But it's still really cute, and I love sunflowers, and I'm always looking to add more miniatures to my collection. And so, yeah. One thing that I do notice about this pot are the designs on the pot that kind of reminds me of Asian paintings, or the kind of designs that you would see on like Asian dishware. So my pile twos might lean a little more on the traditional side, or have a lot of respect for tradition, or at least certain traditions, certain practices. And another thing that I noticed is that there are 2 blossoms here, as well as a 3rd bud in the back. And for some reason, I'm seeing like a Sesame Street character eyes here. This is a really funny way to segue into it, but some of you may be in the process of opening your 3rd eye, if you're into that kind of thing. Another way to interpret these 2 blossoms might be that because they look kind of identical, that makes me wonder if my pile 2s, like also you're pile 2 and there are 2 flowers here. That was not intentional, but there may be like a theme of duality going on in this pile, or some sort of mirrored or twin energy happening. We'll dig into that more in your pile. I still can't unsee a Sesame Street character. I hope I don't get like struck down for saying that. Anyway, I've got a couple of cards pre-shuffled here. This Dragon Spirit Oracle is going to be telling me your current energy at this time, like your current position and what you kind of think about your situation. And these tarot cards are going to be telling me more about like the background details of your situation. So for your Dragon Spirit representative, we have Uhatsura. Very pretty. Dragon of the, I think, Blue Lotuses is what the booklet said. We also have the Lovers in reverse, Two of Swords in reverse, and the Knight of Pentacles. So it looks like this read is going to be more about relationships, or a relationship for my pile 2s. We do have a lot of 2s going on. Pile 2, 2 sunflower blooms here, 2 horns on Uhatsura, 2 of Swords, and then we also have the twins with the Lovers, or Gemini, which is also about duality. So my pile 2s, many of you may have Gemini placements in your chart. Since we have Swords here, you could also be any air sign, Aquarius or Libra as well. With Pentacles, we have earth signs, so Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. And in numerology, 2 rules the moon. So you could also be a Cancer or have Cancer placements in your chart. You don't have to have those signs in your chart in order for this reading to resonate though. But 2 could be a pretty significant number to you guys. You might be seeing 222 a lot. Maybe your birthday falls on a 2, or you were born in February. This could refer to a time period like 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 2 days. But yeah, I feel like my pile 2s are very gentle and respectful. There is some kind of situation involving a relationship here where I feel like you guys weren't getting the same amount of effort reciprocated that you were putting in, or that the 2 of you reached some sort of stalemate and that you've kind of made peace with it and decided to focus on yourself for now, focus on getting the bag and just keep working hard and keeping busy. Blue and green seems to be a huge theme of this dragon spirit. And blue is communication, green is heart, I think. So you might be the kind of person to wear your heart on your sleeve and speak from the heart and be very vulnerable and forthright about your feelings, at least to the point of effectively drawing boundaries with other people. And I noticed that this little knight that we have here is also running up a flight of blue stairs, which is interesting. It's as if because you communicated effectively that it brought you a wealth of financial abundance, or is bringing in the dough, the daily bread right now. And it's like that just seemed like a better option to you at the time, or the more responsible decision is like to just focus on yourself, focus on not only getting to a safe place with your finances, but just in general your living situation and being upfront about what you want and what you need. But moving over here to kind of dig into this relationship, this feels like something that maybe never really got off the ground, or it's as if there was something here, but for some reason it could not bloom. I'm noticing how these 2 characters here, who look like they're hugging as if they are one, so there's like a union here, and their clothes or their capes, the way that this card is reversed, it looks like their capes are forming the petals of like a morning glory flower, but that we don't see the bloom up here. It's like cut off here and not the splendor. We don't get to see the splendor. And I wonder if my pile 2s have experienced something similar, where there was some kind of meaningful connection here that wasn't able to fully blossom or bloom because of this ambiguous stalemate situation that just could not be reconciled. Or it's like you 2 reached a crossroads, and that even though things may not have officially ended in name, it sort of feels like it's approaching its end in spirit, because maybe you saw this rain of arrows being sent upwards and you decided that for your own safety and peace of mind, that even though this is a relationship that you were invested in, that you wanted to get away before that rain of arrows came down on you. That's another way that this 2 of Swords can be interpreted, as like some of those arrows coming down. But it's like you're not here anymore. You're in this space, in a more peaceful space with water lilies and lily pads. The booklet describes these blue lotuses as an ancient symbol of purity, because even though they grow in muddy, swampy, scuzzy waters, that they still manage to look so beautiful and perfect when they come out of the water. And similar with the pads, kind of like water off a duck's back. And that's in large part why they've become a symbol of purity or innocence, or not being sullied by greed, is I think how the booklet for this put it. So yeah, as that relates to my pile 2s, you may have exited this situation, or at least exited it in mind, but I don't get that you harbor strong feelings of resentment for this person. And if anything, you hold very tender feelings in your heart still for this person, but that you know that you deserved better, and at least for now, that you didn't want to keep waiting on them to change for you. And you definitely didn't want to be the one trying to change them or trying to heal them with your love. It sounds like, I think you've been through one of those rodeos before, or that you just, it feels like you know better. So you've moved into the more peaceful waters, and now you're doing more of your own thing. Not to say that this wasn't stressful, because again, we have this sort of rain of arrows analogy of like impending danger. But it's less that you are completely at ease and completely okay with the situation, and more that you can accept it for what it is and from a place of composure, right? Like you can be calm and composed, but not necessarily comfortable. 2 can also be about balance, like with Libra's scales. And in this case, it may feel like having done your best to balance both your needs, along with the feelings that you have for this person, has brought you more peace of mind in this moment. I'm also getting that taking space away from the situation entirely has been helpful for you as well. You can kind of see in this card where the waters are a bit dark, and there is kind of an ephemeral quality to my pile twos, I think. Almost as if you temporarily disappear into a forest and kind of check out. A lot of you may be introverted and just are taking time for you to recharge and heal up from this experience. And the crowd of lily pads in this card suggests to me that you've done a pretty thorough job of parsing your feelings on the subject, or parsing your dissatisfaction, or parsing what went wrong and what went right, and what didn't really go wrong or right, but what happened, and how you feel about all of that. And so yeah, even though this relationship may not have had an ending in name, or this situationship I should call it, in a way I feel like it has run its course, and that there's an acceptance here that you've learned all that you could from unpacking your thoughts about this person. It doesn't have to be a romantic connection, it can also be friends or family. But I feel that for most of you, this is a romantic connection. And the imbalance here that you were experiencing could have also been related to finances, in the way that this Knight of Pentacles is kind of carrying this huge, what looks like a fishnet of treasure and coins. And it looks really heavy, even though it's floating. It's like you ran out of there and took your valuables with you, and you've reached a point where you can look back on it with grace and composure and compassion for the other person. When I look at this Lover's card, and I see these 2 individuals leaning into each other, what I find interesting is that I think the implication is that they are embracing each other and there is tenderness here. But these figures aren't looking at each other. And in particular, this one in front is kind of looking down and has their head low. And this other character here, wearing what I would assume to be some sort of monarch's headdress or decorative headdress, also has more of a passive leaning expression. I feel a sense of mutual trust from this card, but not necessarily mutual closeness or mutual vulnerability. So maybe this person was someone who in the end couldn't open up to you, or that you felt like you couldn't communicate with them effectively. Because with all this blue, and your dragon's representative dragon spirit is also blue, that suggests to me that this is something that you tried to work out, and that you did try to communicate and try to make things right before you decided that the confusing nature of this relationship was a warning in itself, and bowed out gracefully. There's a big element of grace to this card. Grace, poise, calm, composure, peace, and healing. The booklet talked a lot about Uhatsura's eyes and how its gaze was really healing. And so knowing that my pile twos have healer energy or very calm energy, maybe this was one of the situations where you attracted someone who was a lot, and you decided to put some emotional boundaries down before it turned into something codependent, or before you gave all of yourself or all of your energy away to someone who wasn't going to reciprocate that, even though there is love here for them and trust that they're not a bad person at their core. Yeah, this feels like a bittersweet acceptance that in the end it is what it is. It didn't work out. You're going to do what's best for you, and you're wishing this person love and light as well. So I think that's mostly what I'm seeing in your tarot cards. I'll let you know if anything else comes up, but for now I am going to get more oracles and general advice and messages for you. I can try to pull some advice cards for this connection, But the disposition of this card gives me the impression that you already know what you want to do, and you've kind of already decided for yourself what the best and safest and healthiest course of action would be. I can draw some cards anyway though. Okay, so we have Two of Wands in reverse. Yeah, so this card would be about that it was difficult for you to see. Oh wait, this is another two. So we have two horns, Two of Swords, Two of Wands now, two with the Lovers, the twins, Gemini. Very interesting. But yeah, the Two of Wands in reverse would be about being unable to see a future with this person, or being unable to see a happy or fulfilling future with this person. Okay, we also have Four of Coins in reverse, so finances may have been an issue. Maybe they had a bit of an overspending issue, right, with this imagery of like this knight, which I think represents you running up the stairs with this big bag of money. When I say money, I don't mean literally money. Coins can refer to most material objects, so things like a house or a car, resources, materials, things that can be purchased with money, as well as things that just exist in the 3D and that pertain to our personal needs and basic human needs and things that we need to live. I'm also hearing that this person sort of had trouble letting go of something, or trouble opening up. The bun in this card is like holding on very tightly, clutching his Four of Pentacles. And when this card is in reverse, sometimes it can mean like a release of what you were clinging on so tightly. But in this case, I think that the reversal indicates that instead of letting go, it's like they clutched on even tighter, doubled down on their position out of a sense of fear. Okay, any other messages for my pile twos? Okay, is this upright or... Page of Pentacles, and I think, okay, King of Swords and Page of Pentacles. Okay, this bunny card deck is so cute. This little page looks so happy. So another thing I'll note is that this page is also looking to the right, just like Uhatsura. That your focus definitely feels like it's shifting away from this connection and onto healthier and more practical things. Maybe for some of you, this connection may have kind of been holding you back from pursuing a passion project, or like starting a new small business or something. Maybe this was someone who discouraged you from doing so. But it's like now there's this new little project that you're pursuing, or maybe it's an older hobby that you're reconnecting with now in a different light. And this King of Swords here tells me that you're taking a pretty calculated approach to it, and that right now your plan seems to be very much grounded in realistic expectations for what might happen. I just saw a tree, like one of those like engineering trees where it kind of looks like a network. You can also think of an organic tree with branches going off in each of those directions. But basically it's like you're looking at all of the possibilities and you're like calculating your next step in each of those scenarios with respect to this new hobby of yours, which is really exciting. And maybe that's why you've been working so hard with this Knight of Pentacles, is because you want to have like a little bit of extra, enough to be able to get this baby business off the ground. It doesn't have to be a business. It can also just be a hobby that requires a bit of financial support, or like you need a little bit of moolah to go to Michael's to get some craft supplies. The sword suit here does make me think that it is something related to the mind, or to your intellect. This could be you writing a novel. It could be you putting together some sort of presentation or essay, but it definitely feels like something that you want to do, and something that you are pursuing in a way that is careful and well planned, well thought out. Upright King energy here makes me happy to see, because it paints for me a picture of level-headedness, of solidness. That you're someone that people can depend on to plan out this kind of thing. You're not just gonna like take out a loan from a bank that you cannot afford and have no way of paying back, and then launch yourself into this without any sort of game plan. No, it feels like going back to this water imagery, that now you're testing the waters for something else and moving on to exciting new projects. And that is awesome, and I am really happy for you. And let me get some more oracles to finish off this reading. Anything about pile two's projects, or how they might go, or any other messages and advice? there can sometimes be a warning to the King of Swords to not get a little bit too all up in your head about this project that you're pursuing. Like, there can be such a thing as like not overdoing it with the calculations, or not focusing so much on like all of these possibilities, including all of the ways this could go wrong and being prepared for each one. Like, try not to focus on all of that so much that it clouds the main reason of like why you decided to pursue this in the first place, if this is something that you're passionate about. Yeah, try your best not to get so caught up in the what ifs that you forget how much you enjoy this, or don't let your worries get to you so much that you stop having fun with whatever you're doing. Page of Pentacles can sometimes also be about performance anxiety and about not doing enough. That may be why you are heaving such a huge bag of money here. Maybe you've accumulated a little bit more than you need to give you a little bit of wiggle room here to be comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think sometimes we do tend to spend so long preparing for something in order to feel safe that we get stuck in that analysis paralysis or perfectionist mindset, and it's very difficult to get started with it. Guardians. Yeah, you're safe, pile 2. It's safe. Your guardians are keeping you safe. Get one more card. Any more messages for pile 2? A lot of cards. Okay. I will take this unapologetic alligator because it was on top. I like how when all of the cards splayed out, the cards that they messed up were these over here, like, ah, eat, eat, get out of the way. Yeah, I like seeing this unapologetic card because it sort of tells me, this charming little alligator friend, that whatever happened here in this connection, you know that it wasn't your fault, or that you're not the one to blame, and that you're allowed to take space to yourself and cultivate your own sense of peace without having to feel guilty about it. Because it's not that you don't care. You definitely do. You wear your heart on your sleeve. You are probably known as the healer of your friend group, or maybe the motherly friend, the caring friend. But just because, you know, you care so much doesn't mean that, like, it's your job to take on other people's feelings or emotions. And so I wonder if there was like a little bit of unhealthiness in here, of manipulation in here. It's just something that I'm getting from this alligator. It's like you snapped the lid on that before it could really grow into a larger issue. So good for you, pile 2. Proud of you. Proud of you for that, because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's very hard to walk away from situations like this when you're all up in your feels about them. But it's also monumental that you have realized that your safety and your well-being and your peace of mind is more important than how strong your feelings are for someone else. And you shouldn't have to be made to feel guilty for claiming your own happiness here. It's funny, there are also 2 guardians on this window. Yeah, I'm also loving the swamp imagery here, swamp, marshes, because like alligators live in swamps. and now I am seeing Shrek memes pop up in my head everywhere. Maybe I shouldn't have said the word swamp. I feel like that could have been a sarcastic jab from whoever this was. Like, oh yeah, pile 2, look at you, you're this ogre in a swamp. But you're not. You're in queen energy. Gender neutral queen. And with these moths here too, maybe the reason why you had to like close the lid so tightly on this was because, yeah, maybe this really was turning into something a bit codependent and that you were not about to take that on. With all these moths, I get that kind of moth to the flame analogy, where this person couldn't help but be attracted to you in a way that doesn't quite feel matured, let's put it that way. But yeah, pile 2, keep doing you, and remember that you don't have to feel guilty for putting yourself first or for putting your well-being first. That is what you should do, always. And also a friendly reminder that if someone gets mad that you're happy, then something is very wrong. Like, just because your emotions don't mirror each other all of the time doesn't mean that you aren't connected or that you didn't care, because clearly you do. And for some reason, I see this Guardians card as kind of a light switch, like flick on, flick off. And I don't usually say this, but I think Spirit is saying that taking a more binary or black and white approach to setting your boundaries here could be helpful in maintaining your peace of mind about what all this was about. It makes me happy to see that you're moving more in this direction and less stuck on all of this unhealthiness over here. And the juxtaposition of these two cards is also really funny, because earlier I was talking about that analogy with like swamp, but here this Guardians card reminds me of a bathroom, like a bougie bathroom. You've got the cutest pink bathroom tile here and a pastel tinted glass window, and this brings to mind a luxurious bubble bath with rose petals and wine and Bluetooth speakers playing your favorite bossa nova song or your favorite songs, and bubbles and a bath bomb and scents and oils and candles and like the works. And it's just funny for me to think about, because it's as if right now you are lounging contentedly in that bathtub, and it's like you're joking about like, hey, what's up, local swamp hag here. And yeah, I'm seeing someone just lounging with like a wine glass here, like swirling it around in their fingers like a pinky up maybe. If you don't drink, please disregard that. It doesn't have to be wine, but just this idea of luxury and contentedness, and like you're over here unbothered, thriving, striving for success in these new things, and this person, wishing them all the best, wishing them healing. But for now, it's okay to close the curtains on this connection, and if it comes back, like if this person changes and comes back in the future, then you can cross that bridge when you get there. Since this is a collective reading, I can't tell you whether or not you should like shut them out or let them back in. That's going to be up to you. But it sounds like you are well equipped to make a good decision on that already, as you have already here. And so yeah, I think one lesson here with this unapologetic card is that sometimes when we put ourselves first, we're going to disappoint other people, or other people are going to be hurt, because life is complicated like that. And sometimes it's a catch-22, there's nothing you can do. Like, even if you do their bidding, you'll never make them happy. And it can be really damaging to get stuck in this cycle of constantly trying to please someone who's just cannot be pleased. It's not healthy and it's not fair to you, and I am just really glad that you guys are not in that energy right now. Like that, this is the real swamp over here. This is like the floral petals bubble bath area. But yeah, I think those are all the messages that I am getting for this reading for you, Pile 2. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope this reading was helpful. I hope it was illuminating in some way. If you enjoyed it and it resonated with you, I would love to hear how in the comments. I would love it if you could leave me a like. That helps out my small channel a lot. I hope you'll come back sometime for another reading, but until then, I wish you all the best. I hope this project goes well, whatever it is. It seems pretty exciting, because it's like we've got a marketing strategist expert over here. But yeah, until then, I'm wishing you all the best. Stay safe and take care. Bye! Hi Pile 3, welcome to your reading. This is for everybody who chose the little Sumiko Kurashi friend sewing pin cushion. I'm not actually sure what this green character is supposed to be. It kind of looks like an edamame bean penguin. But yeah, I guess I will look that up. I also appreciate that there's like this little this little onigiri pin inside it, and it's just trying to stay alive. Just trying to make it out here. And so yeah, just looking at this kind of like, I really like that they express a lot without having marked expressions on their faces. And so I wonder if like my pile threes also are kind of feeling a lot right now, but not necessarily outwardly expressing a lot. Where should I put that? I'll put this right here. So I have, we can look into that now. I have a couple of cards pre-shuffled here. This Dragon Oracle card is going to be telling me kind of where your current state of mind is, or where you feel like your position is at. And these other tarot cards are going to be giving me more details on your situation. And then after that, we will also get oracles and more tarot cards for some advice, depending on what comes out here. And so yeah, so for your Dragon Oracle card, we have Oryu. And for your tarot cards, we have the Hanged Man in reverse, Eight of Swords upright, and the Chariot in reverse. Okay, so pile three. A lot of you may find yourselves in a supporting position right now, that you are in some sort of supporting position with respect to your relationships or your career. So this could be you helping someone out at this moment who is depending on you, like a loved one or a friend. It could also be you kind of being the MVP at work. Or it could be both, depending on like your relationship with your coworkers, if this is some sort of family involved business. But that we have the Eight of Swords here and the Chariot, and like that these two majors are in reverse. I get the impression that that it has been difficult for you to make headway in the support that you are providing. Like maybe you feel like you're not really making a dent, or that there's some sort of holdup despite how much effort you are putting into this, and that it's quite frustrating because like with this Hanged Man in reverse, there's this recognition on your end that the time to act is right now, or the time to be gunning it is like, you know, pushing on the gas is right now. And the fact that things may not be going the way that you were hoping for them to go, or like that there is continuing to be some sort of delay here, or some sort of blockage, some sort of hold up, maybe a little bit discouraging to you. This may be like, I'm getting that involves some sort of documentation, papers. It could be like bureaucratic nonsense. And I also just heard stay the course. So this may be something that requires perseverance and resilience. That it looks like this, whatever you are fighting right now, pile three, that this may not be something that can be changed easily. Whether it's trying to like support someone in the hopes that they can eventually support themselves, or trying to shift things around at work in some way. Some of you could be caretakers, but I'm getting a slightly more work-related vibe from this reading. And earlier when I mentioned having a dependent, it could be a child, you know, someone who literally depends on you. And in that sense, it's like, or if you're a caretaker, it's kind of your job to be looking after that person. Otherwise, it's like not really your job to look after others, at least in the sense of you like overextending yourself, or not having like healthy boundaries in place around that. But again, I do get more of a work vibe from this, that there's like some sort of backlog, some sort of delay that feels a little bit immovable. There is some immovable energy here, or fixed energy. I'm gonna do signs real quick. So we have swords, which would be air. So you could have air, not Aries, Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini energy in your chart. We also have the Chariot, which is Cancer, our little water crab. I don't think there is a sign associated with these dragon oracles, but Oryu does have, it is associated with king energy, and power. So it's like you are bringing a very kind of mature and powerful energy into the space that you are working with, or the situation that you are trying to remedy. It sounds like you're doing quite a lot already to try to exert control over the situation in a way that does feel healthy to me. But I don't know if like the situation itself or the external factors that are unrelated to you are necessarily in a good spot. It feels like this is a blockage that is beyond your control. And that spirit is saying that it would definitely be worth unpacking whether or not you actually should take this personally, or if you should beat yourself up over this chariot not being upright, over this thing not getting off the ground yet, or this thing's not moving forward yet, and at least at the speed that you are hoping for. And since we literally have a chariot in reverse in this reading, just friendly reminder, if you've got like car bills that need to be paid, or like registrations that need to be renewed, or like anything related to a visit to the good old DMV, if you live in America, it might be good to like take care of that. If just double checking if there's like anything that you've forgotten, or any work on your car, like getting your brakes checked, making sure like your wheels are in good order, any kind of routine maintenance for your car if you have a car that may need some work done. If your car works fine, don't worry too much about it, but this could be a good time to get that straightened out just in case. Because sometimes like the chariot in reverse has come up before in situations where like my friend's car ended up needing work and needing to be taken to the shop. And so yeah, for safety reasons, gonna put that out there. But another thing that I want to note here is that this dragon is a very beautiful shade of blue, and I believe blue is throat, maybe third eye chakra. So it's blue is all about communication. So it sounds like this is some sort of situation where like you are pulling a lot of strings at the same time, or like you're making a lot of phone calls. This could involve some sort of phone tag involving documentation, and that it may be being stalled for reasons that I feel like are in large part beyond your control. For those of you who are supporting another person, or like a connection, it doesn't have to be romantic, but it can be. I see like this red in the Hanged Man character is so striking and bright, and red is root, which is all about, I think, safety and our basic fundamental needs. So there may be some frustration over like trying to create a safe space for somebody, and that it's not quite taking effect yet, or maybe it hasn't sunken in yet for them that they are safe, or that there's some sort of blockage or a clash involving like someone's need for safety and your desire to communicate, if that makes sense. And the Hanged Man can sometimes refer to like something taking quite a while. When this fella is upright, it's like kind of about like waiting and about biding your time. So one way to interpret the reversal, personally, I sometimes see this as like extending something that was already delayed, or it can be no longer being in suspension and taking action. The Hanged Man upright can be about new perspectives, but also about like biding your time in a way that feels productive. It's kind of like, even though you may appear inert, there's a lot of potential energy that's just waiting to explode into like, an explosion of creativity. And the reversal can sometimes hold a little bit of frustration around it. I think these cards can both speak to unforeseen delays or holdups that are causing quite a bit of frustration. And the fact that the Eight of Swords is flanked by both, or that both are flanking the Eight of Swords, suggests to me that this delay or holdup or blockage that you're experiencing has been pretty influential in your life, and it may be something that is like more on the leaning long term, or at least that it's being perceived like a long-term issue, or something that seems to be dragging on for forever. Definitely not a problem that is easily solved. And so maybe, like I was saying earlier, with these sort of like feeling a lot but not expressing a lot, I wonder, like when I look at this blue dragon card here, maybe in a way my pile threes are expressing a lot, but they're not necessarily expressing it emotionally, or there's something kind of about dry communication here, and I'm not quite sure how to interpret that energy, but it just feels like you haven't been able to get to the bottom of something, and because of that, that there's been some sort of hold up here, and that it's like been kind of discouraging and frustrating for you. So let's get some advice from your oracles on what we can maybe do to remedy this, or what you can do to stay sane. Oh, okay. We have the King of Cups in reverse. If I were to assign a tarot card to this oracle, I would probably have picked the King of Cups in reverse. Or maybe the King of Swords. Not the reversal, but the character. Okay, 10 of Coins. So for some of you, this could be related to your family. This could be like a long-standing family issue of some sort. I hope no one's car broke down. I hope that's not what this is about. But yeah, this is a good confirmation with the King of Cups that like this is King energy, and pile 3, you guys are bringing in a lot of really good, genuine and authentic support into this connection, or into this like work environment. This feels very earnest, like you have a genuine desire to like just remedy the situation. You're not necessarily doing it for like your personal gain or with any kind of like opportunistic motivations in mind. It really is just like there's something or someone that you really care about, and that you want to help make things work, and that you want to help to support in some sort of way. Oryu is a card, according to the booklet, about, I guess, bringing in the support of a monarch, or like king energy, having the support of a King of Cups, in other words. So what can we do about this? With this 10 of Coins here in reverse, this gives me the impression that, relatively speaking, you've been able to maintain your own stability, but with these frustrations and insecurities, that has kind of thrown you off a little bit. And it's like, it's complicated when it involves your family too. Spirit, can we get a little bit more advice on what pile 3 can do in their current situation? The word relinquish, we have 3 of Wands in reverse. The word relinquish comes to mind. Like relinquishing control over the things that you don't have control over. Okay, we have King of Pentacles. So pile 3, taking the time to ensure that you feel grounded could be very helpful. Mindfulness exercises are very helpful for that. I don't want to be like, you know, like you're really stressed out and, you know, you need support, and your friend's like, oh, just meditate, that'll solve all your problems. That's not what I mean. But across the board, if you are looking for fast relief, it can be very helpful to look at breathing exercises or taking a walk and getting some sun, if that is accessible to you. With this 3 of Wands in reverse, this could be speaking about like canceled travel plans, but it can also, especially recently, it can be talking more about quarantine. This may be a long-standing issue that you have run into with your family in quarantine, for those of you who do live with your family, or with your roommates, or like immediate circle, the people that you are living with. But yeah, I'm getting from this King of Pentacles, with this bun closing its eyes, it kind of looks to me like it's meditating on this little pentacle. And so if you are objectively in a stable position right now, pile 3, I just heard Spirit say that it might be helpful to just remind yourself of just how much you've built. Or like if you're sitting on top of a mountain worrying about something, it might be worth it to reflect on like how you still climbed the mountain. You have still built a safe space for yourself, and it's because you have that safe space for yourself that you are able to support others and like bring them in, try at least to bring them into your space as well. Yeah, definitely give yourself more credit for the work that you're doing. I feel like there was a similar message that came up in a different pile. Six of Wands. Yeah, you're already winning pile 3. I almost said pile 4 for some reason. You guys are winning. This is the Six of Wands is the card of victory. There's a little bit of a, you know, yoo-hoo, look at me. And another thing to note about this little bunny card is that this bun and its little horsey is moving this way. Whereas this Oryu, this dragon, is also facing the cards on the left. And so one way to read that might be that reframing your mind and giving yourself a little bit more appreciation for the little victories, big and small, that you've achieved can be a little more helpful in like reminding yourself that you are doing a really good job, that you are bringing in like a king level of support. And I wonder if that is being taken for granted by some people. I feel like there is a lot of generosity happening here, but that it may not necessarily be being reciprocated to you when it should be. I don't know, maybe the people or just the situation on the other end that you are, you know, pushing all your good vibes into may not have the capacity to return that for you right now. I guess, like, which makes sense. Like, when we need help, we aren't always in a place where we can necessarily reciprocate. But it's still less than what you deserve, I think, if I'm reading these cards right. Can we get a little bit more advice, Spirit, about what pile 3 can do? Actually, I have drawn 5 cards from this deck, so let's get some from our Begin Oracle. Advice for pile 3. Advice for pile 3. Advice for pile 3. The phrase "stand your ground" also comes to mind, so it might be helpful to re-examine the boundaries that you are setting around this situation, especially if it involves family. Boundaries can get really hairy when there's like familial obligations involved, or if people are thinking that like, oh, because we're related by blood, like you owe me something. And that's not always true, I think. Especially if my pile 3s are being taken advantage of in some way. More advice for pile 3 on what they can do in their current situation. I'm sorry for the beeping noise. I think that is a construction truck. Oh, scary. Oh, okay. Ooh, I'm sorry. I think I need to put a jump scare warning or something. This like startled me when I turned it over. Okay, this card is called Who's There? And it's number 50, which reduces to 5. So like we have a couple of numbers here, but 5 in particular is a number of transition, of change, of evolution. It's a time of great volatility, and sometimes there's a bit of chaos in that. Why do I get such a weird feeling from this card in particular? It might just be a little bit unnerving. I've never seen this card in this deck before. Okay, I'm gonna like okay. Okay, I feel a little bit better now. But that oracle card is called Who's There? So who's there could also refer to like the way the shadow was in that mirror, that the situation is kind of casting a shadow on the decisions that you're making for yourself, pile 3. Or that you may feel even like a little bit haunted by, yeah, maybe that's why I got like so scared. Maybe there's something about this situation that maybe you feel haunts you. Or it's like a situation that you feel is very difficult to extricate yourself from, even though you are, especially with this King of Pentacles here, that's like the epitome of safety and stability and abundance, and this victory card, the 6 of Wands, you know, walking straight towards this abundant, luxurious kingdom. I think you are fully capable of realizing what it is that you want to do, and you're like, for like the 10th broken record time, like this is king energy. Like you are this Oryu. This blue dragon represents your energy right now, and it is monarch energy. Not to tout like imperialism or something, but just the king in tarot is supposed to be just very emotionally mature, very evolved, and the 8 of Swords can sometimes refer to learned helplessness or self-limiting beliefs. It's like about limitations that we place upon ourselves internally, rather than limitations that are placed on us by external circumstances. And it sounds like there is an external circumstance that is involved here to some degree, but that it's not necessarily like they're not exclusive, right? That your external circumstances are taking their toll on your mental health and your confidence. And so Spirit wants to send over a very friendly reminder that you are still wonderful and capable. And you got 2 kings in your reading. Even though the King of Cups is in reverse, that just means that he's been thrown off a little bit. But I speak gender neutrally. But that like he's still got it. He's just having one of those days, or going through one of those tough times where struggle is kind of to be expected almost, or like given what he is going through. But just because the King of Cups is struggling doesn't mean that he's doing a bad job. It doesn't mean that he's like weak or incapable or incompetent that he's struggling. It just means that he has a lot on his plate, and it's stuff that like everyone would struggle with if they had it on their plate, and that he's still a champ for handling things in the way that he does. And so I think this is a reminder from Spirit. You are a champ, pile 3. And if you find yourself wavering in those times, just continue to remind yourself about everything that you have accomplished. I think sometimes we zoom in and focus so much about everything that we really, really hate about ourselves, or don't like about ourselves, or want to change about ourselves, or like constantly feel like we have to be continuously evolving and trying our hardest every day, that we forget to kind of just like be and vibe sometimes, or allow ourselves to like relish our accomplishments, or take pride in the things that we have gotten done or gone through. Yeah, for some reason this card really scares me. Like maybe I've just played one too many horror games. But this Who's There card is kind of giving me the vibe of fear as it relates to you trying to figure out who you are. There may be some confusion as to this. No doubt, like you are in king energy, you are a champion, but there's also confusion over defining yourself, and not defining yourself based on how others define you. Like you are not, in other words, you are not the sum of other people's opinions. You are your own entity. You get to define yourself and decide for yourself what is a part of you and what isn't. And I think trying to settle on I think there is something here about like trying to force yourself to accept some sort of conception about your own identity or who you are, because it brings you safety. Or that like in some ways you may be feeling apprehensive lately because it's like you aren't the person who you thought you were. Not necessarily in a bad way, but that you may be exploring various facets of yourself that are pretty unfamiliar to you right now, and that it's not always a comfortable process, and it can be very scary. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. That pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones is how we grow. And exploring parts of ourselves that we haven't explored before is also part of how we grow. Yeah, this Who's There card I think could be speaking to how I feel like a lot of my pile 3s are kind of trying to comprehend their own depths, or the depths of their own spirituality, the depths of their own spirit or soul. That might sound like a little corny, but I think a lot of you are in the process of doing some soul searching right now and figuring out like, who are you, and what, like, or who am I, and what do I want, what do I need, how do I get there, how do I balance that with like this sort of delay or hold up in a situation. This could be a personal hold up with this Chariot in reverse. Maybe you feel like there is some sort of goal that you have not yet reached, that you feel like you should have reached by now, and that there's like a bit of insecurity involving that you feel like maybe I should beat myself up because I haven't gotten here, because it's like it feels like it's something that feels like it's your fault, even though it may not necessarily be your fault, but the fault of your environment. Oh, yeah, we also have learn. Some of you could be students, but I think that this is very much playing in tandem with this other oracle card, where it's like you're learning about yourself, you're learning. Sorry, this is still a little scary. Why is this card so unnerving? Maybe it's like scary because it's scary for you to learn about yourself, and maybe there's this fear that like when you open the book of you, that you may find something there that you don't like. But I'm hearing Spirit say that opening that book is going to help you love yourself more than you thought that you ever could. Or that even though it's scary, it's like a gateway to having more of this confidence and perseverance and resilience through your situation. I really like this Learn card, and I want to show it to you guys because it's just got so many little objects on it. You know, we have, I think, a volcano, a planet, a sun. I'm not sure what this is. This looks like a plant, a moon, some eyeballs, a cactus, a home. And it just feels like there's just all sorts of little clinky, clonky objects. There's a match which reminds me of the Ace of Wands, of new creative beginnings. I feel like there's just so much creativity in this Learn card, and that makes complete sense because so much of learning is learning to be creative or exercising creativity. Scientists are very creative. It doesn't have to necessarily be like visual art related. Research is creative, discoveries are creative. And I also appreciate that this little match is being lit inside what appears to be like a cave sort of background. So it's like knowledge will illuminate things for you. Or like even here that we've got a very I'm really sorry if I'm like being annoying about being a little bit wigged out by this card. But I'm imagining that there being like a little string from the ceiling, and this is like a bathroom, and when you pull the light switch and like turn on the bathroom light, then you'll be able to see who this person is, or like a reflection of who you are. And that this Learn card is going to be the, you know, the light inside the cave, or the match inside of a tunnel, the light at the end of a tunnel. I don't want to say like end of a tunnel, because I think self-discovery is like a lifelong journey, but definitely for this case, that there's nothing wrong with exploring and experimenting and learning more about yourself and discovering more about yourself, even though it might be uncomfortable. It may seem scary because like some of you may be afraid that it will lead to like you finding out more about yourself that you don't like. But I think what is more likely is that there will be discoveries about what fulfills you and what makes you happy, and in turn how you can get there, and like better, they're just discoveries about yourself that are not here to hurt you. They're here to help you. And I wasn't thinking too hard when I put this Learn card here, but I'm also noticing now that this Six of Wands card, the Victory card, is actually walking towards this, what I think is sort of a light bulb card, you know, like a eureka moment of learning and experimentation and fun and creativity. And like it's almost like, and the fact that like the Learn card is now between the King of Pentacles and the Six of Wands feels like it's kind of like the gateway to abundance for you if you are not already in an energy of abundance. So for those of you who are thinking of going back to school, that could definitely be an option that you can consider. Or for those of you who are just looking to like, maybe I'm hearing like switch things up, try something new, given that there is some sort of blockage here. Or some of you who are feeling like like with this Hanged Man in reverse, sometimes that can mean the time is now. So Spirit could be saying to you that the time is now to start trying something different and learning something new. For card numbers, we have 25 and 50, which is funny because 25 is half of 50. So it's almost like, for some reason, so like this card has a figure in the front and a figure inside of what I think is a mirror, but it doesn't have to be a mirror. It can also be like some sort of portal, or the veil. But I choose to see it as a mirror for this reading. So it's like a coin has two sides, right? And people are multifaceted. But one way to see this learn card could be like, if you've only ever lived seeing like a specific set of sides for you, or, you know, to put it simplistically, like if you've only ever lived being able to see one side of you, what happens if you flip that and there's another side on the back that you have not yet explored? That's sort of what I'm getting from the fact that like 25 is half of 50, or like 5 times 2 is like one side and another side, and it's like there's a mirror here. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like my pile threes may also learn to cope, if that makes sense, like dunking their head into books or Wikipedia rabbit holes and learning an education of some sort to cope with like the stress of what they're experiencing. It's kind of like the people who dunk their head into workaholism, but instead of being a workaholic, it's sort of like a knowledge holic, if that's a thing. I guess they're not like mutually exclusive if your work involves a lot of research and learning. But yeah, I think I'm going to draw one more card for you, pile 3, and then I will finish up this reading. The Hierophant in reverse, yeah. While I was shuffling, I also was thinking that the way this... I just got shivers. The way this figure is sort of looking at our character on the other side makes me wonder if, like, whatever this situation that you have been brought in to support from earlier, pile 3, I kind of wonder if... Oh wait, I may have said this already, that you may feel haunted by this person or connection or situation or work obligation. Like, it's almost the rather than like feeling haunted, it's like you may feel like there's an evil eye on you right now, or that there's some sort of eye of judgment, or like that people are going to be judging you, or just kind of a defensive stance. And I think the position of this dragon card actually matches that. I feel like this is a dragon that is poised to attack. But yeah, okay. So yeah, the Hierophant in reverse makes sense to me with what we said about this learn card and other stuff earlier, that whenever I see the Hierophant in reverse, I think of an unorthodox situation, that it looks like this may be a tough issue that may not be able to be solved with conventional means, or like a blockage or a holdup that needs a creative solution to be solved in some sort of way. The Hierophant leaves you with the message, pile 3, that you do not have to conform to the status quo in order to be valid. It's okay for you to not strictly adhere to like what everyone else is doing, or like for example, you don't have to like buy a house or like get married or have kids by the time you turn 30. You know, everyone is on their own timeline, and so are you. And Spirit wants you to know that you will get to where you need to be in the way that you were meant to, in the timing that you were meant to. And what Spirit hopes that you can focus on right now is releasing these I guess limitations that you are imposing upon yourself in this situation, and like nurturing yourself, nurturing your brain. And and creating a fulfilling kind of abundance for yourself, even if it may seem a little bit off the beaten path. Or like, you know, you don't have to be like everybody else. You don't have to take a common career track or a common like a commonly applied solution to your problems in order to solve whatever's going on here, which feels very involved and complicated. It feels like a tangled ball of yarn, if I'm being honest. But yeah, just know that it's completely fine to do your own thing, and that, you know, with this like whole eye of judgment, that it would be one challenge that you may be learning to release right now is supporting others as well as yourself without feeling like that kind of unconditional love and support, or minus love if it's like dry career related, but that kind of support will not be judged, or that kind of support and good faith will not be used against you somehow. I think that could be useful to look into. It could be beneficial for healing. But yeah, I think that is all I am seeing here, pile 3. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope this reading was helpful or illuminating in some way. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear how in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could leave a like. That helps me out a lot with this new Babby channel. Hopefully I will see you again for another reading. But until then, I am wishing you all the best. Stay safe and take care. Bye! Hey pile 4, welcome to your reading. This is for everybody who chose our cute little Doki puppy woof woof friend right here. I think the model said that this was a Doberman, but I'm not sure. I will look that up. But yeah, super cute. I found this at a little antique shop a couple of years back, and I just thought it was so cute. I'm such a sucker for little miniature figures, and so cute. Are just like I think it's nostalgic because I used to like love looking at these as a kid. It's just something about how small they are adds to how cute they are. And anyway, looking at the way this puppy is poised kind of makes me think that he is like maybe being playful and about to like strike something, you know, when you're like waving a toy in front of a dog. And it kind of, sometimes they will like jump back and lower themselves and hunch their shoulders and get ready to, kind of like in the same way cats do, get ready to like try to grab it. In a different way, like this could also be sort of a defensive stance. Not totally sure, but maybe that will be relevant to your reading in some way. So I have a couple of cards pre-shuffled here. This Dragon Oracle card is going to be telling me where you are currently at, or like where your mindset is, and these other tarot cards are going to be giving me information about like the situation currently surrounding you and how it may be affecting your current state of mind. So I'll start with the Dragon card. So we have Ryuma, which is the horse dragon. Or also Dragon Horse. The booklet that came with this deck left it up to interpretation. It's kind of like a horse that goes really, really fast. It can be considered a Ryuma. And likewise, like a dragon that manifests as a horse in its physical form is also Ryuma. And for your tarot cards, we have the Nine of Cups in reverse, Nine of Swords in reverse, as well as the Empress in reverse. Okay, so pile 4. What I can start off by saying is that with this Ryuma here, this card kind of means that you're doing as much as you can right now in your current situation. Kind of like, it kind of feels like you're at maximum capacity. You are like any more and you will be, I guess, overloaded if you are not overloaded already. This feels like with work and career, but it could be other stuff, like just everything that you've got on your plate. But it could be really helpful to question whether or not the current pace that you're going at is sustainable, or whether like it's almost like you can't catch a break, or that throwing yourself into work helps distance you from your worries and concerns, maybe insecurities, like just throwing yourself into your work to forget about it. Yeah, this horse dragon card tells me that you are doing the most right now. You are doing everything that you can. And with this Nine of Cups in reverse here, which is sometimes about, can kind of be about like not getting the things that we wished for, or that we're not really in a place that we thought that we would be. There's like kind of a lingering dissatisfaction to this Nine of Cups card here. And I want to pay notice to how this horse is running towards these cards, and it's almost like the horse is running towards a goalpost that has not been met yet. I also noticed that this horse is white colored, and traditionally, at least with candle magic, white is sort of seen as the color of cleansing and purification. And so another way that I would read this is that you may be working yourself to the bone. Bones are also white, but that you may be working yourself to the bone and fast forwarding to these things that you want for yourself, to in order to leave things behind that you don't want to keep following you. With this Nine of Swords, this card is like about anxieties and can be about spiraling. There's a lot to this card. The fact that it's in reverse suggests to me that you are working on the things that you aren't happy about with yourself, or like that there is some sort of confrontation here with certain insecurity. Like, it's like you're well aware of what holds you back. You're well aware of the things that you need to work on in yourself, but they still bother you. And I sort of wonder if there is the hope here that throwing yourself into work can distance yourself from those insecurities in whichever direction they may be coming from. The way this horse is almost charging towards, charging forward, charging towards these other cards is funny, because I just talked about this horse like sort of outrunning the things that it wants to leave behind. But in a different way, I think the almost workaholic approach that you may be taking to tackle the things in yourself that you want to work on, or the goals that you want to work towards, is almost like you are rising to a challenge. And there is a slight warning in here, or maybe warning is not the best word, but it's kind of like, imagine a good friend like gently putting a hand on your shoulder. And I just wonder whether or not you may be straining yourself really hard, pile for, or being so focused on filling up a glass half empty that you are forgetting to take care of yourself. I do think there's this sort of belief in these cards that it's like, if you meet this goal and you prove something to yourself, then that will shatter your insecurities, or that will, make those thoughts go away. But at the same time, chasing these very high goalposts that you're setting for yourself also seems to kind of be hurting your confidence. And I don't want to say that your goals are necessarily unrealistic, but that the really high standards that you set for yourself they look like they're very difficult to achieve. And it's really good to have high standards insofar as they are not constantly keeping you in a space of feeling disappointed in yourself, or feeling like you're not enough. And I think that is sort of the capstone of this card combination right here, and especially with everything in reverse, that there are things that you want that you haven't gotten yet, and that it sort of feels personal. It maybe you've been beating yourself up over not creating the abundance or the security, or the just not realizing your visions in the way that you had hoped for, and that sort of feels like a personal blow. It sort of feels like I'm getting that you're trying very hard to compensate for what you feel that you lack, and that you're working yourself to the bone to try to get to this space of you're trying to get to the Nine of Cups upright, which is all about like granted wishes, abundance, and eating out all the time. Even reading these cards, admittedly, my chest feels a little bit tight. It almost feels like I'm a little bit breathless, a little bit out of breath, which makes sense considering this horse is sprinting. One analogy that I might suggest is that even the fastest raced horse on the track needs to rest sometime. It cannot keep sprinting, it cannot keep riding into the sunset for all of eternity. It has to stop and rest, or else it's just, no living thing can handle that amount of strain. And there's another gentle invitation from Spirit here to think about what it is that you're truly running towards. Because the Nine of Swords can also represent confusion, and it's also internal. It can be all about spinning up demons out of thin air, or scaring ourselves with visions of the future that we don't want to transpire, or things that have not happened yet. It can be about catastrophizing. Maybe the reason why you're pushing so hard is because you're trying to avoid a negative reality. But in doing so, it's like the anxieties that are taking up space in your mind right now kind of crowd out all of the space for hope. Feeling like you don't have to work yourself to the bone just to feel like you are worth something. Pile 4, let me just say that whatever is going on here, you are already enough. And I know that, like, in today's society, that can be very difficult to let sink in, because like we're constantly being judged on our merits, or like what job we're at, or it's like how old are you relative to like your accomplishments. And running out of time seems to be kind of a theme here. So some of you may feel really pressured to like go after some of these goals because it feels kind of like something that you should, like that keyword should, be at this point in your life, like some sort of societal expectation. And let me say that you don't have to be anywhere. That societal expectations, I think, can be so toxic sometimes, because we're all on our own journeys, learning in our own time. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay to take things at your own pace, that we've all grown up and come from very different backgrounds. Not all of us have the privilege to pursue the things that we want in the way that we want, especially like if this is about school. There's all sorts of practical barriers, a big one being like money and financial resources. But primarily with this card, I get kind of an impression that this has something to do with work and workaholism, as like even as a coping mechanism for you guys. So Spirit just wants to pass on a friendly reminder to you that you are enough. You don't have to like have a perfect scorecard in order to be valid. You don't have to have all these achievements or material things under your belt in order to be worthy and valid. You don't have to be like the coolest kid on the block in order to be like, you are as you are, deserving of love and respect. And Spirit hopes that you can also extend some of that to yourself, and to give yourself a little bit more grace. Because when you see models on Instagram, or when you see someone's like Facebook highlight reel, or just, you know, snapshots of someone's life that looks so glamorous, it can be very easy to fall into this trap of thinking, it's just extremely easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others, or like thinking that, oh wow, you know, I'm not hustling enough, or I'm not doing enough. Or it's like you're comparing your beginnings or middle of your journey to someone else's end. Or don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle, because it's not fair to you. But definitely adopting a growth mindset here could be very helpful, thinking that, you know, instead of beating myself up for not reaching a goal, I can be present and grounded and mindful while I am working towards that on my own journey at my own pace. Yeah, pile 4, I think the crux of your reading is to slow down a second, and if you can, if you are able to, take a deep breath, do some deep breathing, and whenever you do have the time, spend a little bit of it reevaluating what it is that you are running so hard after, or why it is that you feel so compelled to chase after this in a way that, to me, feels like it's almost like some of you are being fueled by desperation. And it's a kind of, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It just feels like just such an earnest desire to want to feel more okay with yourself, and to want to feel confident, and to want to feel safe and provided for. But that it could be very helpful to sit with yourself for a little bit and question whether or not these are things that you might be able to find within yourself. Not necessarily externally. Like we are all taught to. It's like we're all taught to look externally for cues that we're doing okay. Am I doing enough? Am I good enough? The answer is yes. Solid yes. You are doing the most. Again, you're doing the most, and I'm really getting that you're at capacity. if you look at this horse card, it's going really fast. And even the way the artist has painted the grass that it's running on, it's like there's a motion blur on the field that it is dashing through. So and this could also be another indication of even racing thoughts. Like this is the card of where you are currently at. This could be that your mind may be going so fast that it's confusing itself, and that it's just really hard for you to figure out like which direction to go in right now. And I keep feeling the theme here that you feel like you're not doing enough, but you are doing enough. You're doing more than enough. And zooming out and looking at your situation with a bird's eye view, or like imagining your best friend going through everything that you're going through and thinking about what you would say to them, could be quite helpful in determining like whether or not all of this is serving your highest good to stress over. But I think that's all I am seeing for this first set of cards. So I am going to draw some more cards to get some more advice for you and what might be helpful in taking care of yourself during this time. Spirit, what else does pile 4 need to know, and how can pile 4 take care of themselves at this time? Can pile 4 take care of themselves at this time? We have a King of Wands. This is okay, came up in reverse. It's okay to believe in yourself, pile 4. I'm getting that it's safe to believe in yourself. Earlier I was talking about this horse running towards all of these, like, you know, the goalposts, the desires, the worries, the concerns. It's almost like being fueled by like what you may perceive that you lack. But if you look at this King of Wands, he's looking, this little button is looking in a completely different direction. And so taking steps to reframe the way you think about success and failure, I think it could be very helpful. Because one thing that I do want to say is that if you're doing everything that you can within your capacity, pile 4, and by that I mean, you know, not working so much that you're like burning out and working at an unsustainable pace and just working yourself into stress and exhaustion. You know, if you are able to maintain a consistent and sustainable pace of work, or like, you know, work on getting to that sustainable pace, that's a win. Even if you can't get done everything that you wanted to get done, as long as you did it consistently in a way that didn't hurt yourself, that's 100% a win. You know, not meeting your deadlines is not a failure. It may just be that, like, this could also be a tough boss, or like a higher up, or a manager that's like just giving you a little bit too much to do right now. So I could definitely see this being some sort of thing with work where you're being overworked. I don't necessarily know if there is exploitation afoot here, but I do think that there is an element of being overworked here, and that could be from higher management. So drawing boundaries around like what is and isn't within your control and under your control could be helpful. For some reason I'm getting that analogy again. Imagining that your best friend was in the same situation as you with the same workload and the same, you know, stressors and everything. What advice would you give to your friend, and what would you say to them? And a follow-up question would be, would you say the same things to them that you have been saying to yourself? Because if the answer is no, then you don't deserve to bash yourself either. You deserve to be in this King energy, pile 4, being confident in what you have to offer and what you bring to the table. Let's see if we can get a little more advice. Yeah. Judgment in reverse. Ooh. Ace of Cups in reverse. The Empress upright. Yeah, that's what I like to see. We also have Four of Coins in reverse. Lots fill out. Okay. And I'll put this back. And as I'm shuffling, that song by The Weeknd just popped into my mind. The one that's like, what was it called? I feel it coming. I feel it coming. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Ooh. Creation. Okay. This Judgment in reverse is telling me that Spirit thinks that you're being way too hard on yourself and hopes that you can shower yourself with a little bit more love. Whenever the Ace of Cups pops up in reverse, I always think of like a nice little bubble bath, about like giving yourself a rush, a wave of proper self-care, of splurging on that cute new makeup palette that you were looking at, or eating out at your favorite place, or taking a day off, or, you know, if you are able, just giving yourself more space to breathe. Because I almost am feeling like even in times of rest with this Ace of Cups, like I know I shifted these over, but that it ended up under the Empress in reverse. I kind of feel like even when there are times when you are resting, I question whether or not you are truly at ease, you know? Like when you say like you're taking a shower and showers are relaxing, but maybe you spend the shower worrying about like things that you have to do tomorrow, or staying stuck in the swirl of thoughts about everything that you have to do next makes it very difficult to stay grounded and stay present. And again, that's nothing to be ashamed of, because I think just the world that we live in really encourages that kind of thinking, and that it's an active effort to focus a little bit less on like how much you can contribute as like a little corporate robot versus, I don't know if you work for corporate, but less on like focusing less on how much you can contribute as an employee, and how that like reflects on you and your value as a person, when you are always valuable and precious and worthy, and that you deserve to give yourself the same love and care that you give to your friends as well. I'm getting that my pile fours are very diligent and also a little bit frugal when it comes to spending, which, don't get me wrong, is really good and admirable, and please give me some of that. But that it popped up as an advice card with the Four of Coins in reverse here. I wonder if Spirit is saying, if you have the means, if you have a little bit of extra, please take some of that extra and invest in yourself. And I don't mean invest in yourself like, you know, taking another course to like bolster your skills, unless you really want to for career related reasons, but like investing in yourself as in ways that you can better relax, or reevaluating the way you practice self-care, or like examining what about taking a bubble bath can you change to make it a little bit better of an experience for you. Like if you have a water resistant phone or a speaker, you could always play a relaxing mindfulness podcast, or you could play like your favorite songs. You could get a shower speaker if you really wanted to. There's a lot of water here in this reading. But those are just suggestions. The shower is just an example. It could be like completely irrelevant. And it's funny that we have both the Ace of Cups, which is number 1, and the King of Cups, which is like the cups end at 10. All of the suits end at 10, like 1 to 10. And then we have the court cards, Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So it's kind of like we have the beginning and we also have the pinnacle of the cups. And with the Empress wedged in between these two, Spirit is saying that pile 4, no matter how you feel, no matter how shitty of a day you're having, no matter where you are on this spectrum of feeling, in this universe of like emotions, that you're worth it, and that you're still a caring and lovely and wonderful and abundant person, and that you're worth it, and that your creations are valuable and worth something to this world as well. That you don't have to be so harsh on yourself, and that it could be helpful that when you are feeling a little bit thrown off with this King of Cups in reverse, like that feeling negative emotions doesn't mean that you've lost. It doesn't mean that you have failed in any way. It just means that you have feelings, and it's like your body is giving you, your brain is sending you information. So if it's not, there's nothing to be ashamed of in having feelings. And one suggestion that I would give you is to try to find creative outlets for those emotions. And it doesn't have to be like drawing, it can also be sewing, sculpting, needle felting. It can be Legos, it can be music, songwriting, singing, writing fan fiction, any kind of creative outlet to like dump your feelings. Journaling counts as well. Anything to get those thoughts out of your head and into an external vessel. I just heard the way this owl is like protecting this egg feels so loving and humble to me. Like this, it feels like a very quiet owl, and I also get that vibe from the rest of this pile. I think my pile 4s are sort of quietly diligent and creative, and honestly may not have a whole lot of outlets to release what they are feeling. I don't know if you guys, I feel like a lot of you may not necessarily have friends that you can talk to about this, or that you feel, you know, safe talking or unpacking this kind of thing with. And that's hard. That's tough. I do like to recommend standard talk therapy, but I feel like I get the feeling that a lot of my pile 4s are already in therapy or have had a rodeo with therapy before, and it's just, you know, sometimes it's just hard to live. Sometimes it's just hard to live and be and to feel okay when we're just being bombarded with like perceived reasons to put ourselves down. That's really hard. But if I may challenge that, every time you feel like you want to put yourself down, I'm hearing Spirit say that that is an opportunity to build yourself back up, because we have the Empress in reverse here, but we have the Empress upright here. And the Empress is all of the queens combined, gender neutral. I think the more that you practice, like talking back to those thoughts, or I feel like this is very CBT related. I know that's like not for everybody, so take it as it resonates. I do think for a lot of you that the more you fight against those negative, like self-loathing thoughts, the more you can build up a sense of self-confidence, because it's like you're literally standing up for yourself and literally learning to stand up for yourself. And I also feel that the more you build yourself up, the more you recognize your, I guess, inherent value, and just like how important you are to this world, and how much better this world is for having you in it, the more you will also open yourself up to like sharing your creativity with others and sharing your visions with others. So my pile 4s might actually, maybe a lot of you may be creatives or have some sort of passion project that you are secretly wanting to pursue, but just haven't necessarily had the confidence. Like I said, this is a very humble owl. Its head is kind of drooping, but it has an egg. It made an egg. It's like the miracle of life. And in the same way, the Empress can also represent pregnancy. So it could be like you are pregnant with quote unquote, with wonderful ideas that you have yet to give birth to for, you know, any number of reasons. And there's, you know, no pressure with that, but that your ideas have worth, that you have inherent worth. And the more that you practice embracing that, the easier it will be to live your life without feeling like you're constantly having to chase after something that feels impossible to reach, because it was sort of like, it's like it was designed to be impossible or designed to be unattainable, to like keep you down. And it's kind of like the analogy of when you're climbing Mount Everest, instead of beating yourself up for not being at that peak, you can look down at how high you've climbed already and see the fruits of your labor and appreciate how hard you've worked to get up to where you have. Please do not discount the tremendous effort that you are putting in to realize your goals. That's certainly something to be proud of. Just remember that you also deserve love and tenderness and care and lots of encouragement along the way as well. And that, like this little owl, you deserve to be very proud of this little egg you made or are making or are in the process of making. And so yeah, but I do think that is all I am seeing for your pile. So pile 4, thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope this was helpful. If this pile resonated with you, I would love to hear how in the comments below. I hope you'll come back to visit me again sometime soon for another reading, but until then, I am wishing you all the best. Stay safe and take care. Bye!